So what Lewis does in his great book, Miracles, is he wants to help us understand why miracles are not only reasonable, in accord with reason, but also that they are meaningful, that somehow miracles almost illustrate the style and the overall story of God. So miracles are not arbitrary, but eventually they end up kind of disclosing the overall meaning of the whole story. So we begin to rediscover miracles not only as possible, but as beautiful. Now, Lewis begins in part by considering that many people today consider miracles to be a violation of the law of nature. Rudolf Bultmann, a famous 20th century Protestant theologian who was famous for trying to demythologize the Bible, take all the myths and miracles out of the Bible and reinterpret them. He said that anyone who has turned a light switch on and off cannot believe in a miracle. And Lewis wants to respond to this somewhat almost common sense objection. And he does it first by suggesting that actually it's only when we understand that when we turn a light switch off and on, that the light goes off and on. Only when we understand the regularity of nature are miracles possible. Because miracles then are exceptions to the normal order. Aquinas actually in the Summa Contra Gentiles describes a miracle as something beyond the normal order of nature, something caused by God. So again, Christians don't believe in miracles because they're not aware of the order of nature. It's precisely because they believe that the order of nature comes from a creator who may, if he chooses, right, act also outside the order. So the way Lewis then begins miracles is he's going to consider at first really a philosophical objection, right, and try to deal with the question of miracles philosophically. And then he's going to turn more specifically to Christian revelation. And that's kind of how we're going to set up today's lesson, right? First, we're going to look at how human reason itself points beyond the natural physical order and so to God. Secondly, we're going to consider how it is that miracles are both possible and also used by God to disclose his identity and his plans for us. Third, we want to consider how the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ is not arbitrary, is not accidental, but is actually what Lewis will call the grand miracle and makes sense of the whole. And finally, I want to close with a brief example from Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, The Silver Chair, in which he presents one of the delightful characters, Puddleglum, in this argument with the witch to show how we might maintain faith in God and his plan, even amidst a dark night and even amidst the claims of naturalism. So the first section, right, how human reason itself points beyond the natural physical order and on to God. So what Lewis does here is he wants to begin by trying to consider, what do we mean when we think about the universe, right? What really is our conception of the whole? By the way, I should add that I actually didn't read Miracles until kind of later in my studying of Lewis. And I'd by this time been studying Aquinas for over 15 years. And I was delighted when I picked up Miracles and I saw that C.S. Lewis somehow kind of took Aquinas's philosophy and theology of God and somehow expresses it in ways that are very accessible.